Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.
Rama asked, when the only reality is the infinite consciousness and its own inherent kinetic power, how does a jiva acquire an apparent reality in the secondless unity? Vasishtha replied, the terrible goblin known as jiva arises as a reflection or appearance in the mind of the ignorant alone. No one, not even the men of wisdom or sages, can definitely say what it is, because it is devoid of any indication of its nature. In the mirror of infinite consciousness are seen countless reflections which constitute the appearance of the world. These are the jiva. Jiva is like onto just a little agitation on the surface of the ocean of Brahman, or just a little movement of flame of a candle in a windless room. When, in that slight agitation, the infinitude of the infinite consciousness is veiled, limitation of consciousness appears to arise. This too is inherent in the infinite consciousness, and that limitation of consciousness is known as jiva. Just as when a spark from a flame comes into contact with flammable substance, it bursts into an independent flame, even so this limitation of consciousness, when it is fed by latent tendencies and memories, condenses into egotism, the I-ness. This I-ness is not a solid reality, but the jiva sees it as a real thing, like the blueness of the sky. When the egotism begins to entertain its own notions, it gives rise to the mind stuff. The concept of an independent or separate jiva, mind, maya, or cosmic illusion, cosmic nature, etc. The intelligence which entertains these notions conjures up the natural elements, earth, water, fire, air, and space. Associated with these, the same intelligence becomes a spark of light. Though it is a cosmic light in truth, it then condenses into countless forms. Somewhere it becomes a tree, somewhere a bird, somewhere it becomes a goblin, somewhere it becomes a demigod, etc. The first of such modifications becomes the creator Brahma and creates others by thought and will. Thus the vibration in consciousness alone is the jiva, karma, God, and all the rest follows. Creation of the mind is but agitation in consciousness, and the world exists in the mind. It seems to exist because of imperfect vision, imperfect understanding. It is really not more than a long dream. In this is understood, then all duality will come to an end, and Brahman, jiva, mind, maya, doer, action, and the world will all seem synonymous with the one non-dual infinite consciousness. Vasishtha continued, the one never becomes many, O Rama. When many candles are kindled from another, it is the same flame that burns in all the candles. Even so, the one Brahman may appear to be many. When one contemplates the unreality of this diversity, he is freed from sorrow. Jiva is nothing more than the limitation of consciousness. When the limitation goes, there is peace. Even as for one who wears shoes, the whole world is paved with leather. What is this world? Nothing but an appearance. Even as a banana stem is nothing but leaves. Even as liquor is able to make one see all sort of phantasm in the empty sky, mind is able to make one see diversity in unity. Even as a drunkard sees a tree moving, the ignorant one sees movement in this world. When the mind perceives duality, then there is both duality and its counterpart, which is unity. When the mind drops the perception of duality, there is neither duality nor unity. When one is firmly established in the oneness of the infinite consciousness, whether he is quiet or actively engaged in work, then he is considered to be at peace with himself. When one is thus established in the supreme state, that is also known as the state of non-self and the state of knowledge of the void or emptiness. On account of the agitation of the mind, consciousness appears to become the object of knowledge. Then there arise in the mind all sorts of false notions, like I am born, etc. Such knowledge is non-different from the mind. Hence, it is known as ignorance or delusion. To rid oneself of the disease of the samsara or world appearance, there is no other remedy than wisdom or self-knowledge. Knowledge alone is the cure for the wrong perception of the snake in the rope. When there is self-knowledge, then there is no craving in the mind for sense pleasure, which aggravates the ignorance. Hence, if there is craving, do not fulfill it. What difficulty is there in this? When the mind entertains notions of objects, there is agitation or movement in the mind. And when there are no objects or ideas, then there is no movement of thought in the mind. When there is movement, the mind and the world appears to be. When there is no movement, then there is cessation of world appearance. The movement of thought itself is called jiva, cause and action. That is the seed for world appearance. Then follows the creation of the body. On account of various causes, there is this movement of thought. Someone is freed from this in one lifetime, and someone else is freed in 1,000 births. When there is movement of thought, one does not see the truth. And then there is the feeling of I am, this is mine, etc. The world appearance is the waking state of consciousness. Egotism is a dreaming state. The mind stuff is a deep sleep state. And pure consciousness is the fourth state, or uncontradicted truth. Beyond even this fourth state, there is absolute purity of consciousness. One who is established in it goes beyond this sorrow. The world appearance is said to have the absolute Brahman as its cause, in just the same way as the sky is cause of the growth of a tree. Since the sky does not obstruct its growth, it promotes or causes it. In fact, Brahman is not an active causative factor, and this is revealed by inquiry. Even as one digging the earth finds empty space as he continues to dig, when the inquiry is continued, you will find the truth that all this is none other than the infinite consciousness. Rama asked, "Pray, tell me how this creation became so extensive?" Vasishtha continued, "The vibration in the infinite consciousness is not different from the consciousness itself. From that vibration, just as the jiva became manifested, even so from this jiva the mind becomes manifest, because the jiva thinks. The mind itself entertains the notion of the five elements, and it transforms itself into those elements. Whatever the mind thinks of, that alone it sees. After this, one by one, the jiva acquires the sense organs, the tongue, the eyes, the nose, the sense of touch, etc. In this, there is no causal connection between the mind and the senses, but there is a coincidence of the thought and of the manifestation of the sense organs. Just as a crow sits on a palm tree, the fruit accidentally drops from it, and it appears that the crow dislodged it. Thus, the first cosmic jiva came into being. Rama asked, "Holy Sir, if ignorance is non-existence in truth, then why should one even bother about liberation or about inquiry?" Vasishtha replied, "Rama, that thought should arise in its own time, not now. Flowers bloom and fruits ripen in their due time. The cosmic jiva utters Om, and by pure will creates the various objects. Just as the creator Brahma was willed into being, even so is a worm brought into being. Because the latter is caught up in impurity, its actions is trivial. The distinction is illusory. The truth, there is no creation and hence no division at all." With this, we finish today's chapter. See you soon.